Welcome back to R&DW Adventures. I'm Darryl.
And I'm Renee.
Today we're back on Belle Isle, and we're going to do a couple of virtual caches in the Adventure Lab, and figure this would be a good time to take a look at the differences between those two. Let's first take a look at what the icons look like in the app on your phone. So in the official geocaching app, the virtuals have this little blue ghost icon, while the Adventure Labs have that little balloon pin. So visually, that's what you're looking at. But the cache types themselves are very different. Earth caches are very similar in some ways to the virtual caches. It's all about going to the location, getting some information, but generally, not always, it's one location. It's definitely only one find per icon, so you don't have the series that you'll have with the Adventure Lab caches. But virtual caches themselves were turned into legacy caches back in 2005. That meant no new virtuals could be placed. But the reasons for that were really that we had a lot of garbage caches. And I know of a couple of garbage caches myself that are literally garbage caches. One of the virtuals that I had found was an old, rusted out golf cart down by a drainage ditch. Yeah, that's not very good. And you also had those, hey, this is where I told my husband I was pregnant with our fourth child. Yeah, that booth at McDonald's isn't that interesting, definitely not worthy of a cache. But you also had some really amazing ones, things that were artwork, they were historic locations, stuff like that really is what made me fall in love with the virtual caches.
So being a fairly new cacher, at least compared to Darryl, I didn't know much about virtual caches because they were archived long before I started caching, but they have brought them back in waves. I think we're on our wave 3 now, and you have to be invited to do it and a qualified cacher, so they are kind of a higher quality. In my opinion, they're a little bit more difficult. They're still fun, but it's not as tangible right away. It took some figuring out to do this one, and it's pretty new. This one's only been here for a little less than a month. And different than an Adventure Lab, we were here for the whole thing. We weren't going to different places, and there was actually 3 parts that we had to figure out to get this cache, and then email the cache owner and wait before we can log it.
We have talked about Adventure Labs, done full videos on them multiple times on this channel. It is a newer type of geocache. Originally it was a full experimental cache type called lab caches. In recent years, it's gotten some upgrades. It now requires an app, and it's called Adventure Labs. There are many series of awards that have gone out now, so there are plenty of Adventure Labs to be had, several of them at the major events. But it does require its own app. You have the pins there. The geocaching app and several of the other official apps will give you pins for where the locations start, but not the full experience. So you have to go into the app and actually launch and start from there.
So a little bit more about Adventure Labs. First of all, they have their own app, which I really like, and it connects. There's generally 5 stages to each Adventure Lab, and each stage counts as a cache, and it directly will, when you log it, save it for you, saying that you got that cache. If you go to a bigger event like a Mega or a Giga, there can be up to 20 stages. But one thing that I really like about that is with each stage, when you answer, it's usually multiple choice. Sometimes you have to type in the text answer, but you get a confirmation if you're right or wrong right away. So whereas with the virtual caches, you have to email your answers and wait for that person to answer you, so you could already be gone by the time you find out you made a mistake and you need to go back. So that is one definite difference between the two. But they are both a lot of fun, and you get to learn new things that you probably wouldn't have looked at otherwise.
So in all, there are a lot of differences between the two cache types. I would say Adventure Labs is definitely a more modern version of the virtual caches.
Right.
It is much more new user friendly. It's more
That's what I was gonna
straightforward,
say.
easier to do, but you have to understand that it does require the app to do them in the first place. The virtuals tend to really give people problems, especially those first few, because you don't understand that it's like the Earth cache. Go there, find the answers, email the answers. There's physically nothing there to sign or to find. So that's where I think a lot of people have the problem with it. So overall, let's give our ratings like this is a junk fooding video.
Okay.
What are you going to rate virtuals? And they're also different. You have great ones, you have bad ones. That's kind of a given. But overall, for the style, what would you rate those?
I'm going to give those a 3.5. And my reason for doing that is I like doing them, but I have to be like in the right
mood.
frame of mind to do it.
Yeah. I'm going to give them a 4.5 actually.
Okay.
Because I really do like the history, the creative places that it takes you. It's the discovery that you really get from the virtuals that you can't have with a traditional physical cache because it might be in a place that doesn't support it.
I might change it to a 4, but like today I was standing there and we had a clue, but I really didn't understand what that one thing meant until we went down the stairs and up the stairs and looked around. And when you said it, then I had to look and I'm like, oh.
Now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense.
All right, so moving on to the Adventure Lab caches, what are you going to give those?
I'm going to give those a 4.5 because sometimes I really like, well, I don't always love them. Sometimes it's like, wait, oh, that was it? But most of the time I love them. This one I really liked, except for we can't do the last one because it's not open yet.
Well, we'll hit that one by the time this video airs. However, I'm going to give the Adventure Labs a 4. They are quick, bite-sized caches by comparison. Not that virtuals have to be large, but you know the vast majority of the virtuals take more work than a stage of the Adventure Lab. So you do get more finds on the Adventure Lab. They are easier to do. You get that instant acknowledgement that you found it correctly.
I think being a new
That's
cacher,
worth it.
that's where it's helpful to me.
Yes.
And I also really like, there's quicker, but I feel like I'm learning more and walking around and learning more or less than, unlike focusing on what am I looking for.
So that's our thoughts on it. Leave us comments below. Let us know what you like about the two cache types. And, you know, we'll throw maybe Earth caches in there too, because it's in the same family. We didn't talk at all about the webcams or about the location lists, because those there are no more being published. So it's not really worth bringing up at this point, but maybe we'll do it in a separate video talking about that one individually. Talking about videos though, right down here we've got the playlist of all of our geocaching videos, but also hit that channel icon over on that side, right in front of Renee's face. We got a lot of other videos over there, including those junk fooding ones that we were just talking about.